About Magnus.
Oh,
I think we've asked about Magnus at one point or another.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
either way,
anybody who
Rob and
associates
Alan,
with him.
welcome to another federal agent file.
Let's fucking go.
On that note, hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the use and the reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also covered by Brandenburg v. Ohio in 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion is entirely hypothetical. This is episode 203, which I think is kind of fitting since we have part of the gang from the Anti-Politics podcast. Mr. Alan and Rob, how you guys doing?
Good, man.
What's
How
up,
you doing?
dude? I'm really happy to be here, man, with you guys. It's going to be a fun episode, I think.
Well, if we all don't get
yeah.
droned by the end of this episode, I think we're doing all right.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure just watching this episode will put you on a list.
Yeah, let them try.
Well, I mean, we had
sure we're all
Magnus,
on the list
Trashman, and
already,
Oldman.
so.
Like, I mean, we had Magnus, Trashman, and Oldman on at the same time and did not get droned. So I think at this point in time, we're just about drone-proof.
We'll be all right. You've already gone.
yeah,
up
we're
the
Don't
just-
have a backdrop, so I'll just put this on. And
Nice. I love it.
I got one of those sitting over there along with my Wisconsin one that
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten to hang up yet.
I got my Ohio one right here. One of those.
if you guys hear any,
Ohio doesn't
Oh, wow.
exist.
Well, it does tonight, buddy. It does tonight because you got
The
two
police
people
badge
that are
state?
hypothetically from there on here.
Ohio, hashtag Fed confirmed.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I'm 20 minutes away from the border to Kentucky, though, so you know.
Oh, so you're saying you're not that deep in Ohio, so it's not that bad.
Just a tip.
I don't know.
I'm deep in here, boy. I'm deep in here, man.
I don't know.
You're in Ohio too?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. I'm up by
Oh,
Cleveland.
you guys are both cryptids. That's
The Ohio cryptids.
I drove across southern Ohio one time, and I must say I enjoyed coming back going through Kentucky instead.
Oh,
Because
man.
for some reason I was on my way to West Virginia, and oh man, I thought there were a few teeth missing going through southern Ohio. Mother of God.
Yeah, I mean, Southern Ohio's meth country for sure, especially in Appalachia country there. But
Bro, I'm in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area. Like, you're talking about meth country.
yeah, don't even get me started on the West Coast.
Hey, I originally came from Hemeth, California.
Yeah.
Capital. All right.
Which
Yeah.
translates to no teeth.
No teeth.
Yeah.
It's an old Indian word for no teeth.
Discovered by the Romans. We'll agree to disagree.
It certainly lasted then.
Yeah. So give us the elevator pitch. Who are you guys? Why are you here? What is your podcast about? And which branch of the federal government do you work for?
Rob, you want to
Okay.
go first, man?
All right, Captain Allen. I'll go ahead.
You want me to go?
So-
So, I mean, we're just
You-
two dudes, man. We're just two guys that are trying to start up a conversation with some people every week that, you know, talking about how politics in general is BS. It leads to divide. Anarchy does not involve politics. You know, how can you participate in anarchy in your local community and, you know, further that and help change some hearts and minds and different ways you can go about that kind of stuff. And just looking at people's lives, you know, their background, where they came from and how they got to be where their mindset is today and part of the movement in any way, shape, or form they're in, whether that be, you know, retired military, people that are volunteer firefighters, and anything in between. So that's kind of what the premise is for our podcast. Like I said, who we are, man, we're just two average dudes trying to have a good time.
That's exactly it, man. The whole premise of the podcast is to destroy politics. Over the past couple of years, especially, we've found out that society is extremely polarized. It's dividing our families, even at holidays, events. They're never going to be the same. So we want to destroy that political polarization, bring everybody back to that round table of discussion where we can absolutely find what we need to secure our liberty.
And we're also trying to get people to drink some more fucking water.
Oh, hell yeah. Super important.
Well, unfortunately, what I'm drinking
There's
is
water
clear,
in
but
here.
it's not water.
Yeah. I mean, I got ice in mine, so.
Hey, the
I mean,
first
it's
ingredient in beer
water-based.
is water. So
That is, I wonder, is that the first ingredient in whiskey too, Andrew? Or?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right,
See?
well then I guess I'm in good
You-
shape.
In Irish, we call it water of life. That's what Wishibatha means. So
Yeah. I mean, just drink more fluids.
it's just intake more fluids.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated, you beautiful bastards.
Whatever's dissolved in that water, may be it, but but people just need to drink more fluids. It's crazy how many things that you can solve in your everyday life by drinking more water, by how you feel, whether it's allergies, energy, and anything.
Absolutely. I've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting, and I've dropped probably close to 50 pounds. And
Awesome.
part of that is just pounding the water to curb that hunger reflex.
Yeah.
And I drink so much, or I eat so much less sugar. And once you get all those processed sugars and all that shit out of your system, you feel so much better.
Oh, I mean, yeah, sugar's an addiction. Like, your body will crave it in so many different types of forms. And the research on fasting that's come out the last couple of years has just really been fascinating, not only just for intermittent fasting, but doing long fasting for 4 or 5 days, once or twice or 3 times a year, on how it not only helps your cells and your body kick out toxins, but it triggers something inside of your cells to help them renew and repair themselves too. So any of that damaged DNA you have, like, they stop focusing on just duplicating themselves and replicating, but they start focusing on repairing the DNA, repairing the cell before they do any of that. Some really cool research coming out with that kind of stuff.
And
Yeah,
Jack
there's a-
Curtis in the chat's absolutely right. If you replace
eat more honey.
your sugar with honey, like
Yep.
actual raw honey, it
Yep.
is so
Jack's,
much better for you.
Jack's a beekeeper up there in Michigan.
Yes, he is.
Fresh honey's the best, guys.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good.
Great for your allergies too. Get local honey.
My 15-month-old, she absolutely loves her. We call them baby toddies. It's just warm water and raw honey mixed up in a cup. Puts her right to sleep.
It's got good antibacterial properties too.
My
And you can
bakery's
just
covered
spend
wounds.
anything in honey and it'll just last. Like, put an egg in honey and come back to it 3
Well,
years and eat that egg.
the-
See what happens.
The honey that they pulled out of King Tut's tomb, which is about 3,500 years old, they actually confirmed that it is still entirely edible.
Yep.
And
they
in
actually
fact made
water
from-
to it and had toast. Had King Tut
Yeah.
toast.
They actually found too that it actually is made with several types of pollen from plants that are now extinct and have been extinct for like 1,000 years. So like you literally can never reproduce that honey anymore.
No, that's dope.
Yeah, honey's real big in the prepper community too. It's one of those things that they tell you to stockpile because it lasts forever. It's caloric intake. It's a quick boost of energy.
Yep.
But yeah, because of the healing properties from it.
You
is
can
huge.
literally suspend any food in honey and it won't go bad, just like the honey won't go bad.
Yeah, Manuka honey too is freaking fantastic for like dressing wounds.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. People came here for the anarchy, but they're going to leave for the honey facts.
Anarchy 101.
Right.
Be an
I love it.
start an apiary.
That's what it is. Anarchy among friends,
Yes.
roundtable discussion. The #1 honey pimping podcast on the
It's all honey all the time.
that's
Excellent.
that's what we got. We got
Honey.
we got the anti-politics podcast, the gang come on and talk about shooting deer
Honey.
and honey.
And honey.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I always
Perfect.
black bag my deer. Frank Browning, what's up, man? Gang, brother.
Yeah, there's a few of them. We've had a few comments, gang comments.
Cantankerous. Honey is anarchy.
Honey is anarchy.
Yes, that's my homie
Love
Scott.
it.
Hunarchy.
Shout out to Aaron,
Hunarchy?
Honey's Life.
There you go.
Absolutely agree.
Hunarchy would be a cool company. Just like a logo, it's like a honeybee with anarchy.
There you go, Jack. You're welcome.
There you go.
All right, so guys, that's the episode. We're gonna go work on a business plan now.
We already have multiple
The show gets the
locations. We got
5%
Andrew
share.
over there. Andrew, you could set up an Epier in that shed you got back there.
Well, except that I actually have stuff in that shed now that I kind of need.
Minor
Just
File it in the back.
Oh, no. Oh, Jack, come on now.
Easy solution. You just build another shed.
Honey,
See,
is not
but
anarchy.
you're
They're
robbing the
and we
queen.
rob her.
Which is clearly pushing for anarchy.
That's right.
See,
You're robbing from the
No.
rich.
So we just need to call it B for Vendetta. B for Vendetta.
There it is. That rings.
Good shit.
I like that. B
I
for
like it.
Vendetta.
Yeah.
should the symbol for anarchy, they got the elephant for the GOP, you got the jackass for the Democrats, you got the porcupine for the Libertarians. Is anarchy just a bee?
A black and yellow
it's
bee.
a honey-
They are
Yeah.
black
Yeah,
and
just a
white.
black and
Gotta
yellow
be a black
bee.
and yellow.
Yeah, just a honeybee. Big ass bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a big ass bumblebee.
You guys heard it here today. The new
Perfect.
anarchy symbol has been established.
That's what it is now. It's gonna be a bee.
We will sting you, bitch.
Yeah. Oh man, I need a Gadsden
Out
flag
with
of
the
that now.
yeah.
I will sting you, bitch.
We talk about getting down the street dying like a dog, right? A bee stings you, they die. But what else happens when a bee stings you?
There is
More
that
bees come after
lady
you.
that was fighting
Yep.
the Poppin'. Dave, you're in the chat, bro. We need a Gadsden flag with a B. I'll sting you, bitch. That's
Great.
It's perfect.
That's the homie Dave from poppinspatches.com.
Oh, nice. What up, Dave?
Hey, Dave.
Dave does
Yeah, that would be great.
this.
Yep.
Nice.
That's Dave's work.
He's also the tactical tricorn here. I'll slip mine on. Josh has got his.
Yeah.
Or that one. Oh, the plastic is
Yeah,
The-
and then
oh,
there's
there
red
you go.
coat
Pretty neat.
NPC with ATF on it.
Well,
the
funny
tropical
that this was
fish.
brought up today. We were just saying we need a potentially some PVC patches of the gang flag made here soon. So
Dave would be your guy. He does custom work.
Yep.
He does.
Oh yeah, I've got that one on the back of my hat too. Is get chipped,
chipped.
save the children.
nice.
Yeah, he does the wood chipper patch. That was a good one.
Yep.
Yep.
Those are
Fossil
pretty neat
fools.
ones for sure.
Man,
Like
my
those.
patch board's upstairs. Otherwise I would show some stuff off right now.
Are you a patch whore also?
Oh,
we're all
Are you-
patched
are
I
you-
up.
love my patches.
I'm a
Oh.
flag patch and
Oh,
sticker before.
family.
Alan, this is you too.
He needs one with like a device on it or something.
Like third award.
I saw somebody make a logo for it was like a medal for Facebook for getting kicked off there, getting kicked off Twitter, and getting kicked off TikTok.
I saw one time where it was Meme War veteran. It was for the boards for on your. I thought that was a good one too.
That's dope.
Imagine actually just sliding that into your board. Just to see if anyone notices the Meme War veteran one. What's that one for? Oh, you should know. And then just walk away.
If I gotta tell you, you don't know.
That one. Oh, that's a Facebook violation with cluster. There you go.
Yeah.
with checkmark cluster device on it.
I'm hoping to get kicked off Facebook
There
or
you
get
go.
like a 30-day ban for posting something I found on Facebook. Like, how the fuck do I get posted on this when
Dude,
this
my-
person got nothing?
Yeah, the final straw that got me kicked off the first time was a 3-year-old meme that had literally been on there for 3 years, and that got me kicked off.
It's happened to me. I didn't get totally banned though. It just said, "Oh, by the way, there's this meme from like 4 years ago, and somebody reported it now."
I found out, Andrew, what caused
had a
my
f-
first account to go. It was the Boogaloo side quest meme of the Utah data center.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Oh,
That
I've
was
still-
what
I,
Andrew and I came up with on our own. It was fantastic.
Still waiting.
I had
for
a, I had a
somebody to-
few.
Go ahead.
I had a few, like 3 and 4-year-old memes removed back in like May and June, right? But no suspension or nothing. And then like mid-September, they're like, "Oh, your account violates our guidelines, and you have 30 days to appeal before we delete it." Right. So I appeal it, and they're like, after like 30 days, they're like, "Oh, your window to have your account appeal looked at is over. Kiss it goodbye." Right? No reason. No, this is what you posted. That violate. No, nothing like that. Just like gone. 10 years out the window.
Of all of my 70, 80 some accounts that I've ever gotten kicked off with, I've never been given a direct reason on anything for what I did. Like, "Oh, you violated our community standards." Which one? They're like, "I think it was all of them. I don't know." Like, they've never given me a straight reason, but I'm still waiting for Far Cry to come out with the Boog side quest game version of that, and like take all the
That'd be fantastic.
Far Cry video game out of it. Like, it would be so dope. Like,
Jason,
Far
I
Cry-
almost had that patch on tonight on my hat, the same one, the keep your rifle by your side.
I got-
love it. That's
I couldn't decide between
Wolverines.
love it.
the old Killdozer.
Killdozer.
In the end, I ended up going with it's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Yep. But it's an
Yeah.
AR, so
He can change his patch. He's got 3 patches on there. That's cool.
there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I can't
Well, yeah,
decide,
yeah.
I just
Depending
Well,
on the
that's-
mood.
That's the
Roll
hat
with,
that Dave has on buy one get one right now. The tactical tricorn.
I got the send
might have to do
bachelors
one
and
of
come
those.
heavily armed. I got the as
That's
Dave
what.
calls
That's
it,
what.
the tropical fish.
Nice.
No, that's what. That's
well,
what
he has
anarchy
to
is.
call it that
That's
to
what
sell
anarchy
it.
is. That's what this podcast is. This podcast is patches, honey, and laughing.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have us on again, I'll have to wear my patch hat and bring some patches and just keep switching them out like every.
You know,
5
you
minutes.
can
Yeah.
disable your camera and just run and get your shit, man.
Yeah, you
I
can
went
turn
with
off
the
your
old-
camera.
Old humble ex Umbris, multicam
There
arid
you go.
trucker hat today. Shout out to ex Umbris. I freaking love those
Did
guys.
Did you see
Look at
Dave's
Dave, look at
comment?
PayPal
Yeah,
said
Dave.
he was selling adult videos of himself online.
That's what, okay.
So that's why they rejected him.
Okay, so there's a story to that. The shark one that Josh just shared.
This guy
Right,
right here.
that was labeled the Boogaloo shark. Right, that was one of the ones that Dave started selling at first, and then Etsy removed it because they said it was a sex video. So they banned Dave from selling that. So now it's a tropical fish. And if you look at the site when you go to buy it, it has like this big black bar over it that you like. All you can see is just the very top and the bottom. You can't really see what it is.
This big old redacted fish.
Ooh, there you go.
Send
There
The
you go.
redacted
That's-
fish.
It's
Yeah.
actually funny because my 8-year-old absolutely loves this patch, and she will actually sing it. Like
There you go.
Baby
Here's a
Shark, she
question
will
for you.
sing it.
Yeah.
You
If you
recommend
recommend one pistol
One
drill,
pistol drill?
which one is most important?
The
Oof.
Dead-Eye Dick and Drill.
That's a good one. I mean, anybody that's not
Dead-eye
practicing
dick
just
and
regular
drill.
holster draws, getting your finger to the wall, and then doing mag dump changes, like that's the most important thing. I mean, 9 out of 10 times, if you're having to pull your concealed on something for a situation, it's going to be a very quick situation. You need to get a couple fires off real quick and just end it. And you kind of have to take some of the gun safety rules out of the situation. There, you're getting your finger on the trigger to the wall right away, so you can fire the second you are on target.
Yeah, the pull and the first round on target.
Yep,
Like that
100%.
combination drill.
Yeah,
What I always do is when I go to the range, when I go to load my mag, I'll have somebody else load the mag and put a snap cap in randomly in my magazine to simulate a failure.
Yep.
Yep.
That way I draw fire, and when it fails, then it's tap rack bang.
I love it.
So one of my favorite warm ups.
What's that?
One of my favorite warm ups to do is mag changes for sure. Just being a regular person like me, it's going to be on the street somewhere when it happens. It's going to be when I'm with my wife or my future kids. So God forbid I drop the other magazine or I fumble with it. So I'll take my first mag and I'll load like 1 or 2 rounds in there, and I'll just not fast or anything, just going through the steps carefully to make sure that my form is good.
Yeah, remember, slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
So Dave is asking, what does getting your finger to the wall mean? Dave, that means taking all the take up out of the trigger right
and just
before the
sitting
trigger
there.
breaks.
Yeah.
Which is a lot harder with my favorite type of guns because they're striker. But you start to really learn. They're sloppy. I love them, but they're sloppy.
It depends on the striker, though.
Take the disconnector. Just replace the stock Glock disconnector with a Ghost disconnector at 3.5 pounds, and that takes 80% of that slop out of it. So you go right up to the wall as soon as it comes out of the holster.
And polish those internals on the Glock too. That's the two biggest things you need to do right away. My everyday carry is a Canic TP9.
Those are fantastic
Not
guns.
a bad gun, yeah.
That trigger is one of the best stock triggers on the market. It's super smooth. You have a very defined wall, very easy break, and the reset
which TP9?
Huh?
Which TP9? Is it the TP9 SF or?
I have the SF Elite and SF SC.
Oh, fantastic guns.
Yeah.
See, next on my list is an Eric's.
Yeah, VSO has the.
My EDC right now is a 48 with the shield arms upgrade.
Aren't those the really expensive ones?
The Arex?
Andrew, isn't that the really expensive one? Yeah.
Nope, the Eric's is actually dirt cheap, and it's basically a Glock 19 that's been improved on, with a ton of improvements that Glock probably should have done a while ago and hasn't yet. And it is like $400, I think, at like the top end brand spanking new, and you get a ton of stuff with it, including interchangeable plates for mini RDSs and stuff.
That's cool.
That's up there with one of my favorite.
Okay, Aaron Carey in the chat
$400.
Is a high point is
black?
good in any scenario.
Fuck no.
I mean, if you literally cannot afford anything else, a high point will guarantee you one shot, and then it makes a passable hammer.
They're great for pistol hammer.
But aside from that,
my biggest knock on High Point is not the unreliability of it, is the fact that they don't make part kits for 3D printers.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
they actually do.
Yeah,
That's
they do
the
now.
biggest
So, I'm not sure if High Point makes them, but you can get them.
no,
High Point
but it's
themselves
not High
doesn't
Point
make them. Somebody else makes them.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably better than.
It doesn't matter.
But if you want to, if you buy $100 High Point and you really want to upgrade the internals for another $80, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're still not changing out
all
that
you
type
can,
of slide
if
with the
all you
metal.
can afford is a High Point, buy an aluminum bat.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
buy a Lucille.
that seems.
Make
You know what? If all you can
off.
afford is a High Point, buy yourself a decent sword and just carry that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
But to the
rather
High-
have a High Point than a Taurus, though.
Oh, 100%.
To the High Point,
100%.
to the High Point, though, there's video of an ambush out of Myanmar or Burma, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I saw that.
The
that was
rebels
fantastic.
attacking state police, and like 3 of the guys in the video had FPC 9s.
Yeah, they're
They're using them, and they're using them. They're using the FGC 9s as like Liberator pistols. We're going to use this to get you and then take your gear.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did. They took
Oh,
all
They
my
absolutely
gear.
God.
did.
Oh,
Loot
it's
drops,
just
major
so
loot
beautiful.
drops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They literally set
that
up
was a
dirt
that was a
mounds to
video
hide
I could
behind as
fat
they were
to.
ambushing him too. That was the beautiful thing. Like it was a setup ambush. I fucking loved it.
It's fantastic. Just
It was a
incredible
really
video.
well done ambush too. If you look
It
at where
was.
their positions were, they are set up exactly the way they should. It's almost like maybe they read a very important book that everyone should read.
Oh, that book is fantastic
It's all
too.
Yeah. Everybody
Yeah,
was
Andrew-
really good with their positions except for the guy filming it.
Yeah,
Like
it
that,
was.
that guy put himself in harm's way the entire freaking time.
Yeah, Andrew, put out your
Your credentials.
your credentials real
My-
quick.
Well, I mean, I can pull up my
Just
credentials.
Say it out loud.
Just say it. We're
Real
not
quick.
talking about the eagle that you killed. We're talking about.
We're not going to talk about the eagle. It was one time. It was one time. Yeah. So
Go listen to a
I.
different podcast if you want to hear that story.
Yeah. So, credentials. I was Charlie 375. So Rangers went into their group, and then went and did some things for some people. I don't know if that'll focus on that.
Yeah.
But that's a special activities division challenge coin. So went and did contract work for the agency for a while, and then got out, came home. But yeah, so I was an 18
Andrew
Bravo.
Andrew has seen an ambush or two.
A few of them.
On
Yeah.
Andrew has
both
laid an
both
ambush
ends.
or two.
Yeah, both ends. Yeah, I've laid a few and I've been ambushed a few times. So
Yeah. Oh.
He's also made a crater or two.
I was waiting for the This Is Farmers theme to pop on.
And we killed it. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum.
to the jingle.
Oh shit.
Boy, that's a lovely sniper perch you have there. It'd be a shame if someone dropped a 500-pound JDAM on it.
What sniper perch?
Who ordered the Moab? Did I order the Moab? Shit, I ordered the Moab.
Well, the one story I always tell to people that's just hilarious is we were in Iraq and we were taking fire from this like really skinny, tall, towery thing. Like it wasn't part of a mosque or whatever, but it was like this, like mud brick, very tall, very square tower. And we had an Abrams, and I was walking alongside the Abrams when the round skipped off of it, and I was like, "Whoo, shit!" And talked to the TC, and he kind of is like, "Oh, don't worry, I can take care of that," and pulls forward and fires, and the HE round goes off, blows a corner of this thing out, and then all of a sudden we can just hear, and remember that we were all given orders like you're supposed to minimize the amount of collateral damage to anything if you can. So we figure, well, we'll blow a big hole in this, but it's patchable, right? Like, okay, well, we destroyed a little bit, but it's patchable. Except then you can hear cracking, and this entire freaking top half comes off and falls, and we're like, and like the TC's sitting there, and he's just like, well, that's probably not good.
Just a flesh wound. Oops.
It's just, it'll buff out, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Over
oh.
to him and go, temper.
Little
Hey,
plaster, you're good to go,
Dave.
man.
Dave, check your Facebook DMs. I just sent you a message.
Yeah. No.
Hey, so what do you? I got two questions. Well, question on two shows. Terminal Lists that came out recently with Chris Pratt, and then SEAL Team. I think that's on CBS. Whatever, it's been running for a while. What are your opinions on them? Do they
Okay.
the interaction on the battlefield really kind of follow what you've seen? And
Terminal List.
or-
That's the one. That's the one that like boosts them into the future, right?
no,
No,
that's
Terminal
the one
List
where
is
he's a
Chris
frog
Pratt.
man,
He's dying of
and
cancer.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
dying of a
yeah, I
brain
haven't-
tumor.
where his
And
team's getting
yeah.
taken out one by one. and we're trying to figure
Entertainment-wise,
out
it's a
what's going on.
fantastic show.
I haven't seen either one.
I haven't seen either one either. I tend not to watch a lot of that stuff because it usually just really irritates me. Like I made the mistake of watching Act of Valor and like wanted to throw things.
It's
through the
much better than
screen.
that. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, Act of Valor is made basically, and a lot of people don't realize, Act of Valor was made by the Navy SEALs. It was not made by Hollywood didn't come up with this idea and then approach the Navy SEAls and go, "Hey, do you want to help us out?" The Navy went, "Hey, we'd really like to recruit more SEAls. How are we going to do that?" "I know. Let's make them look super cool and badass, and we'll make this propaganda piece." And then approached Hollywood and went, "Hey, will you produce this for us?" That's actually why there are so many actual Navy SEAL assets and things in there.
Is
I wonder if
is
I
all of those
do
Navy SEALs
not
wrote a book.
have.
Is
What?
it better? Is it
I
better?
wonder if all
or
those
worse?
Navy SEAls wrote a book.
Is it
Oh.
better or worse than Range 19?
I mean, dude, Range 19 is so much more realistic than anything that the Navy's ever going to produce. Like, let's be honest. It's
The Navy.
That's
there.
bad.
If you want to see truly like real battlefield interaction and attitude and how how we actually function in combat and things, you can watch The Hornet's Nest. That actually followed a bunch of guys around in Afghanistan. Now they're not obviously any kind of special operations of any variety, but you can watch that and that'll at least give you a little bit. Restrepo, which is actually funny because I've been to Restrepo, to that FOB.
That one was hard to watch.
It is hard to watch. That whole incident happened, if I remember correctly, like 3 months before I was there.
Yeah.
That they renamed it Restrepo and stuff. So like I went through there right afterwards. I think there's a show on the Korengal that you can watch what happened in the Korengal. I was in the Korengal a whole bunch. I was in the Khyber a whole bunch, which both suck a very great deal. But like the most of the time, one of the big problems is like in video games and everything else that they do wrong is that when you're in like running an op, you don't talk at all. There is no vocal speech whatsoever unless absolutely necessary. It's all hand signals. It's all just knowing what the other guy's thinking and moving, and it's all rehearsed. So the problem is if you're watching a movie and no one's saying a goddamn thing, or you're playing a video game and no one's talking at all, that's super boring. And it's not like the average person playing the video game is going to understand the hand signals. So they're not going to know what to do. So you have to have them talk. One of the best video game experiences, I think, to capture some of the feelings of that was Medal of Honor Warfighter, because they consulted with a bunch of us on it and like asked like, okay, well, what do you guys do here? What do you guys do here? Blah, blah, blah. I do not have a high opinion of the SEALs at all. As these guys can tell you, I am not a fan of Navy SEAls. I despise them.
His general
Absolutely
opinion is
despise
they're a
them.
bunch of glory hounds because they tend to take credit for shit that they did.
Yeah, not only that, but like just every time I've ever interacted with them, they are assholes and they're reckless and they're stupid.
Yeah, well, when you run Black Ops, it's not like you can say, "Oh, look what we did." Right? So if
Yeah,
someone
you
takes
don't want to
credit-
paint a
someone-
sign on it. Yeah.
Someone
has
takes
to have a
credit
base.
for it. If someone takes credit for it, let them wear the target.
There's a reason why they're called why the 18 Bravos are called the silent professionals. is
Quiet
because
professionals, but yeah.
They're the quiet professionals. It's because
Yeah, quiet
they're not the
professionals.
ones that take credit. They let the public, the publicly known variations of special operations, like the SEALs, take the credit. And Andrew, I want to say for the record, I've never said this live on the air, but I want to say if any intel that I ever provided led to you being led into an ambush, I apologize ahead of time.
Chris was Air Force Intel.
Yeah, I was Air Force Intel.
Yeah, military intelligence, contradiction in terms.
Well, I mean, when you talk about Army or military special operations, the special definitely
Hey,
applies.
you know what? The windows are delicious, okay?
Tastes better than
according
the
to according to the Marines, so are the crayons. So
I love it. I love it.
Yep. So
I mean,
What
and there's
if,
one thing you have to take into consideration when watching these movies and stuff too, is that the military the government has so much influence on them that they want to spin it in a positive light every single time.
Right.
go watch
Well, yeah,
any of
and
the
make
go
them-
watch any of the 9/11 movies or the Boston bombing movie. Boston Strong, I think it's called. Just it's like 99% propaganda. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, like zero Dark 30s like that. I mean, anything that the SEALs are
yeah.
in is probably going to be pure propaganda. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see them make a movie about the SEALs who raided Noriega's plane in Panama. I'd like to see a movie about that. Let's talk about an operation where they actually had to do shit on their own and how that went.
I want to see a movie about the Bay of Pigs and see how badly they fucked that shit up.
Yeah, you'll never see the U.S. government sign off on that shit.
You'll never see
Oh,
the
hell
answers.
no.
You'll never find the answers to that one.
No, never. Just like
No,
you'll
we
never
need
get answers about why they false flagged the Gulf of Tonkin, or why the hell they knew about Pearl Harbor like 2 months in advance.
Well,
You'll never
some
get any of
some
that.
people knew about it. I don't know how many people. That's a pretty big conspiracy that it would require to actually truly let it happen. But I think some people knew about it and then very quietly just didn't say anything. And actually, one guy who definitely knew a whole bunch got completely blown off and told he was nuts. So, because no one believed that the Japanese had the capability of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like they knew about 9/11. It's not the same type of thing.
Yeah, that
No,
see now
no,
that
They knew about 9/11 because it was an inside
you know,
job.
and again, the funny thing about 9/11 is there was an FBI agent in the Twin Cities who definitely uncovered the plot, like the complete thing, and went to his superiors and went, "Dude, this is about to happen," and they're like, "You're nuts. That's not going to happen."
No. We're just
And then
gonna
it fucking
bury
happened.
this.
What a fucking shock!
We're gonna bury this like 3,000 bodies.
There's no way the government would do something like that, you guys. You guys are just all paranoid.
Well, it
No,
wasn't. It
it's
wasn't
not
like the
like-
whole
no,
government. It
No,
was
it's not like
Dick Cheney.
Operation Northwoods was ever an actual thing.
Ah,
Well,
it's
come on,
fine.
you guys.
It was
They were-
completely
they were-
shot down by the JFK administration, and
They were
we all know how that
they
worked
were
out.
Totally gonna kidnap that governor, guys. They're
Oh,
totally
absolutely.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was definitely a thing that was going to happen.
Yeah,
you
the
know.
FBI was going to kidnap that governor.
Yeah, exactly.
They Fox and I can't remember the other guy's name, but Adam Fox, and they just got denied for a retrial on that one too. So a little
That's
update
some
on that.
fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
They're,
my favorite part about that
they're-
trial
they're
though is when he
patsies for
called
the
the dude a
feds.
piece of shit in the middle of the trial. The I can't remember the guy's name, was the big guy, and the one dude that like he brought in to the whole thing was like, dude, fuck that guy, he's a piece of shit in the middle of trial while he's on stand. Like,
And-
thank you for
Yeah.
saying it.
Yeah, yeah. If you
Oh,
listen,
and-
if you go listen to any of the interviews with Brandon Concerta, he did a pretty good one with our homie Josh Smith over at Break the Cycle. Like the conspiracy charges that were laid on some of the guys, it was because of hosting a shoot. Like all that, like
Yeah.
they had a range and they said, "Hey, yeah, you guys can come use our range." Like that was the conspiracy, is they let them use their range. And who hosted the guy that did all the training of the quote unquote militia was an FBI agent. Like the FBI is the guy that was leading these shoots, teaching
It's
the guys
almost
how to
like
use the
entrapment
firearm,
is a
doing
common
all
theme with the
training.
Fed.
So what you're
Yes.
saying now is that the government was the conspiracy theorist this time. It was a conspiracy of a conspiracy.
What do you mean?
Which
Yeah.
is why Brandon got off. Brandon was found not guilty.
Yeah, because he proved that it was entrapment. But
Well, didn't
the thing is remember that anything that the FBI does, anything that the ATF does and stuff to try and set people up and try and make people look bad, trust me, government has done far
Just like-
worse to people.
I mean, all you have to
didn't
do
know we're
is
going to do it.
the most well-known thing. You look back at the Tuskegee experiment,
Well,
intentionally
even
giving
going-
people fucking syphilis.
if go back a few months when we had the guys from Biting the Bullet on, and we were talking about Ruby Ridge,
Yeah,
right? Like
Mhm.
like five of the 6 key positions in the Aryan nations were held by federal informants.
Dude,
Yeah.
it just came out that half the Oath Keepers' entire organization is CIs or federal agents.
That's
Not only that,
probably a low
there's-
estimate
there's
too.
Also
Yeah.
more,
Yeah, the
there's
government's
also
admitting
more
to it.
evidence now that there's people that there were CIs and actual feds on the ground in the Capitol during January 6th.
January 6th, 9 of the Oath Keepers there at the January 6th thing
Were
are
CIs.
federal agents or federal informants.
Well, and don't forget that when what's his face from the DOJ was asked directly by Congress, did you have agents involved in the January 6th riot? He refused to answer the question.
Yes,
Yep. Which
because
happens
heaven
again.
forbid they actually acknowledge that they're the fucking bad guys.
Oh, and who was the old white guy that was everything leading up to J6? And that morning, he kept saying, like, you know what we should do? We should raid the federal building and raid the Capitol and do this. And then all of a sudden,
And when
the
you
day
ask him-
afterwards, that dude just disappeared off everything. Social
Yep.
media, his
Well,
house,
he was there.
all
He was
that.
there the night before when there was the big march in D.C. He was like, "We should raid the Capitol," and then the next day
yeah.
he's standing right next to the first checkpoint that they open up to let people into the Capitol,
Yep.
and he's saying the same thing. We need to go into the Capitol. It's like, and then he just fucking gone.
We need to go in. Why aren't you going in if it's we? I mean, it's like a royal we kind of thing. It's not.
Like you guys should. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
stay up here.
yeah.
I'll keep comms out here.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get picked up by the feds and hauled off sites. That way I'm not
I'm
here.
covering
but
the rear, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, go ahead.
It's-
I'm covering the
Somebody.
rear.
you know who really covers a lot of rear around here? Andrew.
You know what?
On that note, I have a quote. I have a quote I want to read to you guys, and then I'll give the context for the quote. All right, this is a quote. I will say that this is from. Oh God, what is his first name? Oh, Biden. Biden said it. That's right, Biden. He said this. Quote, the idea that we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. It has no social redeeming value. Zero. None. Not a single solitary rationale for it except profit for gun manufacturers.
Read the patch. Send bachelors and come heavily armed, motherfucker.
And first of all, the debate on your gun control is over.
Pretty much.
We have already sealed that debate, and we've put that shit to
Motherfucker,
bed.
you cannot
Can't
stop
stop
the
the
signal.
You can never
But-
stop the signal.
The debate is over. You can't stop me.
Yes.
Yes.
Mine's
but
over there. I'm not getting
just-
up.
But,
I want to read that it has no social redeeming value.
Which is why so many people want to buy firearms, because it has no social redeeming value whatsoever, and no one but the gun companies value them at all. That's why everyone buys them.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
I think Biden forgets
Which
his
is-
last assault weapons ban bill that he passed. There was more assault weapons sold during that time than any other time in history.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude,
that-
during a year into the last assault weapons ban is when a guy stole a fucking tank from a National Guard armory and drove it down the street.
I believe that was in San Diego, wasn't it?
That's just a nice
fucking
Thursday afternoon.
embarrassing.
He didn't steal the tank. He homesteaded it because that is
Yeah.
That's
government
right.
property, which is public property. So he
First he said
homesteaded that
gimme.
tank.
And then he said mine.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's a solution.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and then there's
Andrew would
that.
want to say, I'm not saying there's a solution to some of this shit, but
Second, all I'm
there's
saying
a
is
solution.
it's within the Second Amendment for him to possess that tank. I'm just
That's right.
It is. There's actually, if you want to buy a tank, DriveTanks.com is still selling that Panther 1 or Panzer.
oh
or,
God, you're gonna make me buy more
Leopard
Leopard
1.
again.
Is
Stop.
it a leopard one? Oh, wow.
Leopard 1, yeah, not a Panther, Leopard. Yeah, they have a
Leopard's
Leopard
a
1.
solid tank. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I would argue that the Leopard 2 is the greatest tank that has ever been built.
Oh, I agree
but
with you. The Leopard 1 is still a great machine.
it's still fantastic. But yeah, they have it for sale. It can be yours for a lower price, like $2.74 million.
Is that all?
All right, boys, let's just pull some money. Everybody throw in $5.
I'm going to start a
I got 5
GoFundMe.
on it.
No, I'm going to start a GoFundMe. You guys just
That's what
contribute.
it-
I got a quarter.
for the
Yeah,
low,
I still
low
think
price
there's a
of-
really good argument that we should start getting our own gunships again and just live out in international waters.
I mean, I am
I'm
all
not
for
a-
seasteading, man. I'm a big fan of Sealand
talked-
and
I talked about seasteading a lot when I was on Vonu with Shane.
Yeah.
And like there was there was this legit argument, or not an argument, it was a legit thought experiment going on in the 1970s, in the late 1970s were people seeking their own freedom. They had this idea. They wanted to herd icebergs. That was their idea, is that to find these large icebergs that when they break off the Antarctic or Arctic circles,
Calving.
and you can use them and attach them to tugboats and push them to shallow reefs, and then you can harvest the water as it melts off, and you can harvest the gases that come off of it, and you can sell the gases and the fresh water to profit your freedom.
You can also sell the core samples to scientists too.
Yes.
That's the real.
There's- there's-
how are you going to corral? Like, I mean, getting a ship to close to icebergs historically is not generally conducive to that ship getting to its destination. They've made a movie about it.
The beautiful part is that it's just a tugboat. You only got a few people
There
on
was
there.
absolutely enough room
They're
on that
tough and
door for
sturdy.
the jack.
Even if the
I'm just
tugboat's
saying.
not that big of a deal. It's not
Yep.
like losing a Titanic
Yeah.
or something.
It's not like we're going to run the largest single ocean-going vessel on the planet at the time right into it, and it just coincidentally, by the way, happens to have every single opponent to the Federal Reserve on board, and they all die.
And also everything that the book was written like 2 years before, and it hit every point in that book about something going down the same way. It sounds
Yeah.
like it
Hashtag not
I know what you're talking
wasn't
about.
planned. It wasn't planned.
No, that wasn't intentional.
No.
Yep.
No,
Hashtag not
They
a conspiracy.
only took like 3 hours longer to come find people in the water than they normally do for that area. No big deal.
How serendipitous for Nelson Aldrich that all of his opponents just quietly froze to death in the middle of the Atlantic.
Okay. It's a total coincidence that all of his opponents died on that boat. Just like it's a total coincidence that all the papers that Donald Rumsfeld were talking about with the $2.3 trillion just happened to disappear into a ball of fire.
What a strange coincidence.
Just how all this important shit
Spontaneous
disappears all the
combustion
time.
is real, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's what I was thinking. It was
Well,
like, man,
They
shit
should
just
make
all
they
of a
should make
sudden
money.
catches fire.
They should make money out of whatever they use the passport paper, and then we wouldn't have this issue.
Actually, what's really funny is like passport paper is like this plastic stuff, right?
I know.
As of what was it? It was like is it December 1st
Fucking
that all of the paper pound notes in Britain suddenly become worthless? I think it's
Something
like
like that.
December 1st because they're moving to this like polymer stuff now, and if you haven't turned it in by then, it just all becomes worthless all at once.
Yeah, it just so happens that all the cameras in Epstein's cell went
All
off.
all that I've seen. Yeah. What a completely unpredictable coincidence!
I mean, Hillary Clinton would not show off herself to do it, but somebody that's close to that, I don't know, maybe got hit by a car a couple months later in DC. Maybe he showed up to do it. I'm not saying it happened, but I'm saying
I'm
it's
just- I just-
possible.
Is that's a coincidence? Just like Seth the Rich being killed, and his laptop disappearing.
Just what? Whoever could it? What a
What an
strange
act-
coincidence!
What a strange coincidence.
Oh.
It's like that guy out in the Mojave Desert who killed himself by shooting himself in the back of the head twice.
Gary Webb.
Yeah, I
Well-
was gonna say who had just exposed the fact that the Central Intelligence Agency was running drugs into the inner cities.
What? They would never.
There's no way, man.
They would never.
Yeah.
I worked for
Government
those
would
people. I
never do
assure
such
you,
a thing.
never in a million years
What?
would they ever.
Nicaragua.
Andrew,
said
who
what?
worked for those people, never in a million years would have ever done
Not
anything like that.
Ever,
Not a chance.
never. Yeah.
What were we saying? About your doors kicked in.
I'm
I-
pretty sure just
I
went
assure
last night in my
you,
garage.
they would never do anything untoward at all. I don't know if you
Pretty
can
sure I
read that,
just heard
but
a flash bang. I'm gonna get.
It's very reassuring.
Anybody else hear that helicopter?
Did I hear that
No,
buzzing sound?
I heard this weird buzzing sound outside a little bit ago, and I'm starting to worry about my family upstairs.
All right, you guys ready for a laugh? You guys want something to laugh at?
Always.
If
why
there's
not?
Anything.
Would-be disinformation czar Nina
Uh-oh.
Jackowitz is now a registered foreign agent.
What a coincidence!
What are the fucking chances that would happen?
That's
Jesus
so
fuck.
weird.
Completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Almost
Jesus
like it
Christ.
was planned.
I wish I had a red nose to go.
Jackowitz, who was the executive director of the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board, was at the center of a controversy over the Biden administration's attempt to censor opposing views. She also
You don't
advised the
fucking
British
say.
Parliament to set standards for speech on the internet, telling it that the British government could find ways to suppress undesirable speech, ignoring, quote, freedom of expression and fairy dust.
Yeah, they can
It's because
express
they
these
don't give a
nuts.
flying fuck. I mean,
Yeah, hold on.
Well, when you're
Jackowitz
willing to
also
say that rights aren't absolute, then any right can be assaulted.
Hold on. Give me one
well,
paragraph.
yeah.
Jackowitz also became infamous for her enthusiasm for musical theater as a means of expressing her left-wing political ideals. She referred to herself as, quote, the Mary Poppins of disinformation in a TikTok video.
Mary
So you're
Poppins.
pulling things out of a magic bag.
This shit is
Yes.
giving me a fucking migraine.
I also want to point out that Mary Poppins like kidnaps children repeatedly,
True.
and endangers them, like puts them in mortal
Shit no one
danger.
talks about.
She is now registered as a foreign representative under the Foreign Agents Registration Act on behalf of the Center for Information Resilience, a British organization devoted to countering disinformation online.
Didn't we like do a thing in 1776 where we didn't have to fucking listen to what the British did and didn't want us to say?
Yeah, I believe that started on
it's almost
4/20,
like the United States does not
1775
have.
with
I was gonna say, the United States
would-be
does not
gun
have a
demonstration.
Royal Canadian, a Royal Navy. You look at the Canadians; they have the Royal Canadian Navy. They have the Royal Canadian Army. They have the Royal Canadian Air Force. The U.S. does not have anything that starts with fucking royal.
Royal pains in the ass.
Canada even has crown.
Well, I
royal.
mean, the government is a royal pain in the ass, but that's
Which is
besides the
awful.
point. Oh, absolutely.
Whoa.
Them's
I like-
fighting words.
Crown Royal is
I'm willing to
gross.
fight. I'm willing to fucking Irish. fight
Andrew,
on
you
this
have
shit,
to
man.
remember they're from Ohio.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I've seen Akron, so that explains
That's
something.
fair.
Everyday
That's fair.
whiskey, I'll take it. I like some of
I've
the
been to
variants.
Washington Courthouse. I would like to avoid ever a return trip.
Oh, you've been to
What was
Washington
that?
Courthouse. I'm
What was that,
sorry.
Alan? Alan, what was that?
For which part? The whiskey or Washington Courthouse and apologizing for it?
Both.
Yes.
No, I'll drink Crown as like my everyday go-to, like shot here and there. But most people don't understand the history of Crown either, right? Like why Seagram's even made Crown to begin with, and the whole Waterloo distillery burning down and all that kind of stuff too. So like the Queen of England was visiting Canada for the first time in like 200 years or 150 years, some shit like that. So they wanted to do
bad she
something special
survived.
when they created Crown Royal. And that was the drink that they're going to serve her or give her as like a thank you for coming to visit again, basically bowing down to the fucking knee, right? Saying like
They
Like,
should have let
bad
the
she
American Revenue Service get anywhere near that. That probably would have worked out far better historically.
yeah, probably just put a couple CIs in there, would have been better.
Well,
But
they
right
poisoned
after-
hundreds of gallons of liquor
Yeah,
during
so-
Prohibition.
so
All I'm
Vivo
gonna
is like
say
the normal
is
Crown
it's a
Royal
great
today was
thing that
supposed to
Lizzie's
be,
in a
like,
box.
Hold on, Chris.
base
Hold on, Chris.
line of
Keep
their
on, Alan.
whiskey, but they also did like special ones, which is like the Crown XR, the Crown Reserve, and then they have like the special Crown Reserve that there's I don't even think that's what they call it anymore, but there's like a limited supply of that. That was like the good stuff that they really made for her coming to Canada.
Mhm.
Like I said, the distillery burnt down. They were only to save so many barrels of it. So that's why the baseline of what we know as Crown Reserve today is what it is, and it's not 2 or 3 times as much and better in quality.
Yeah, it's gross. I'm not a fan
I'm
of any
not
Canadian
saying
whiskey
that-
at all.
Yeah, no.
I'm Irish. You're not going to convince me that Canadian whiskey is any good.
I'm Irish
I mean-
and German, so I'll drink trash.
What's your favorite
Well, you know-
Irish whiskey?
What
Teeling.
really got me
Teeling?
what really got me into whiskey was the fact that somebody else was paying for my drinks when I was in Vegas one day. And I started drinking Double Crown on the rocks. And all of a sudden when I got back home I was like, fucking Crown is trash. Why did I drink this out there? And then I started drinking other shit.
That's the thing. If someone else is paying, it's automatically 4 or 5 times better.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's always
It's-
better when somebody else is paying for it.
For
But
you.
when I got
My-
home, I
Good.
bought a bottle of Crown. I'm like, no, this is shit. And then I started buying actual Scotch whiskeys and Irish whiskeys, and I was like, this stuff is a hell of a lot better than this crap that's coming out of Canada.
I got like 110 bottles of bourbon right now. So I'd rather drink something that's $25 on a regular
So,
basis during
what-
the week.
what
than
I've been
just
drinking
buying
tonight
60
is
to
this
$200
stuff
bottles
You're
of
just
bourbon.
stocked up
locally.
for the. You're stocked up
This
for the
is a-
zombie apocalypse.
I was gonna say the stuff that I've been drinking tonight is called High Rye. It's from the La Crosse Distillery, which is about 3 blocks from where Andrew lives.
Nice.
I mean, it's a little further than that, but not a hell of a lot further. It's
5 blocks.
right that way.
Sorry, it's
Dude, the-
You
5
can still
blocks.
stumble to it.
The
Yeah,
the world's
absolutely.
largest 6-pack is like 3 blocks from my house. It's
He's not wrong.
it's literally and it is the world's largest. It's like the beer holding tanks, and they've put labels on them like they're a full can of beer, and they did it to all
Yep.
6, so it's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest 6-pack.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's cool. Yeah,
But,
lacrosse is all about its booze. We have 2 statues of King Gambrinus, not just one, 2 statues of King Gambrinus, who is the patron saint of beer. So,
So, but as
And
as
there's
Alan
totally
was,
not a serial killer that pushing people into the river.
yeah, as Alan was saying, he's ready for the zombie apocalypse. With all
100%.
that.
But
What
But
are you
actually-
are you ready? Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, that's good because scientists breathed life into a 48,500-year-old zombie virus found frozen in Siberia.
I read
What
this
could
article
possibly
before
go
you
wrong?
shared it. Oh, but man, before you shared it in the chat, I read this article and I'm like, oh my god. All the shit
After-
we've been talking
after
about.
2020, you're gonna fucking do that?
Okay, no, hold on. We got 48,000-year-old viruses being revived by modern scientists. At the same time, archaeologists are opening 200 sarcophaguses found in the depths of a tomb.
Can we stop with the tempting the end of the world thing,
Almost
please?
like- it's almost like when we opened that black
We're getting zombies.
fucking sarcophagus
We're getting
2.5 years ago.
We are
That
no, wait,
everything
hold on.
went to
We are,
shit.
we are finally getting the very thing that we've been asking for. We are.
I
getting-
mean, yes,
Well,
but
yeah, I suppose.
at the same time, like the hardest part about a zombie apocalypse would be pretending that I wasn't just like super into it. Like, just like, yes, finally! And like grabbing chainsaws and machetes and shit.
I mean,
Everyone going,
no, I'm
why do
not-
you have
I'm
that
not-
many machetes?
I'm not
No
into
reason.
this at all. I mean,
hold on. Give me one paragraph. Researchers warned it may be just the tip of the iceberg, adding that
wonderful.
continued global warmings will thaw the Siberian permafrost to reveal nastily pathogens from melting organic matter.
Oh, that's the
Hold on,
first time
hold
I've
on,
ever
I-
heard just the tip, and it sounded bad.
hold on. I have to respond to Brett Norman in the comments. So is Wisconsin basically a massive bar/PvP zone? Yes.
Yes.
All I have
Yep,
to
pretty
say is
much.
yes.
That describes us perfectly, actually.
It does. It absolutely does.
And they got a 7-foot-tall Wendigo statue out in the
Yeah, we do. We do.
Alright.
I
We absolutely do. It's
That's
fantastic.
In the interest of fairness, though, the Wendigo is originally an Ojibwa legend, and the Ojibwa are obviously here in Wisconsin. So I do just want to point out that that's why you would have Wendigo stuff.
That's where the Windussi is, boys. We're gonna have
No,
to go to
no.
You do not want the Windussi.
The kind of head
want the Windussi.
The kind of head that. Yeah, the kind of head that the Windussi is looking for is not the one that you're hoping for. It's literally eating your head.
And then
Don't
fuck.
kink
You know what?
Don't
If they're
kink-
fibs,
don't kink
Andrew-
shame me,
and
bro.
no. If they're Andrew, if they're fibs, that's okay. Let them go after the Windussi.
Yeah, we need like a trained one. Like if I could just have a trained one like downstairs that I just like keep around, that I can just like let out and be like, okay, go find some feds.
Like I said,
You
if
can
they're-
just
if
give
they're
it,
fibs-
shitty Crown whiskey to train it with, and
Make it even more enraged because it's like, I ask for Jameson. And it's-
Hold on. Give me hold on.
overdue.
Give me a paragraph. At the same time, 2 other viruses were separately isolated from the stomach of a Siberian wolf. They have been aptly named Pac-Man virus lupus and Pandora virus lupus.
Oh,
Pandora.
Oh,
possibly go wrong with a name like
that's-
Pandora?
that's fabulous.
Fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
my
this
God.
isn't.
So
I-
Ready,
This is
boys?
Operation
Can't eat us.
Enduring Clusterfuck times 2.
Oh, you know
I'm just
this.
gonna get comfortable now.
If you say this gets better, I'm going to come to California to whoop your ass.
Quote.
This is
As
why everybody needs to get time off.
as unfortunately well documented by recent and ongoing pandemics, each new virus, even related to known families, always requires the development of highly specific medical responses, such as new antivirals or vaccines. It is therefore legitimate to ponder the risk of ancient viral particles remaining infectious and getting back into circulation by the thawing of ancient permafrost layers.
We're all fucked.
Everybody,
Yeah, we're
anybody else just
we're-
get like
we're-
get like this lump in the pit of your stomach? Just
So they're
no, it's just me going, we're fucked.
their
And
justification
you guys-
is.
And you guys called me crazy for wanting to go after the Windussi and just ending things.
I mean,
You know
okay,
what?
I'll give you that.
All right,
Just saying.
that's fair.
That's my
fair.
snoo.
That's fair. I surrender on this point. Yes,
I just wanna
you would
point
be
out-
better served by the Windussi than by this shit.
Yeah, I just want to point out, like, there has never been a better reason to, like, go, I'm going to prep now and I'm going to get ready for shit now than when somebody goes, hey, we unlocked this ancient Pandora virus and we're going to go ahead and research it in a lab, like we did
Okay, well,
coronavirus, and that worked out so well.
there
You know
were
what?
two
There's a
viruses. There were
reason-
two viruses. Hold on. There were two viruses. in that wolf.
Hold on.
There's
There's a
the
reason I'm
Pandora
digging
virus.
a hole in my hillside.
There was the Pandora virus, and the other one was the Pac-Man virus. What's Pac-Man do?
Yeah.
And he also does it in a
Eats
box too.
things.
In a box.
So wait, who funded this,
Lizzie's in a
this
box.
research group that was digging all this stuff up? Please say it was Fauci. Please say it was
I was just going to say it was probably Fauci, let's be honest. We all know who did it.
Given his track record, I'd believe it.
I'm looking into this here, and it says B. Gates. Have we heard of that name? I'm not. Who could that
Yeah.
be? And
Weird.
Weird, it's-
AF. What does that stand for?
it's the Rothschild Agency. I've never heard of them. What is?
Super secret. Super
Super
secret
secret.
sauce.
Yes.
Secret squirrels.
The same research team previously unearthed a 30,000-year-old virus in Siberia.
These guys
So-
just
Well,
like
it
fucking
wasn't
around.
You know-
just
man.
hold on. Wasn't it just earlier this week that Bill Gates said something about we need to be ready for the next
Mhm.
fucking pandemic?
He said that
Yeah.
for like every
He's been
couple
saying that a
weeks
lot.
the last like 10 years.
No, but I mean
Because
this
they
past
keep
week-
trying to fucking start one.
Right? That's exactly what I'm fucking getting at here.
Well, and do you guys know like where Bill Gates like really got his foothold into vaccines and stuff like that?
In
And like
India.
the way he got into that and globally,
Mhm.
it was through the Rotary Club.
Oh,
Yeah, just-
So the Bill Gates Foundation
Well, that's
became the
interesting.
main sponsor for the Rotary Club for the polio vaccine, which
You know-
coincidentally allowed them to learn Iraq and Iran, militia tactics and stuff like that. Because every time they get somebody like the entire group vaccinated over here, then some people come in, they disperse, then they have to go back into these areas and revaccinate everybody. And at this point, the polio vaccine is just 2 drops on your tongue. You can supposedly have it as many times as you need to or have to, and it's not going to, hurt you. But
what's
this
funny
allowed him
about that-
to enter the global scale of vaccines, vaccine manufacturing, and everything else that goes along with it. And it wasn't until after he infiltrated that entire system that he started saying all this other bullshit about, world population and everything else. So he literally used the Rotary Club to get to where he's at today.
Which is really crazy when you look at my situation, because my oldest, she's 16 years old. She's getting ready to go to Germany next summer as an exchange student. And it's all through Rotary International. So when you say that, I'm like, huh.
oh, neat.
Well,
Yeah.
ain't that fucking interesting?
No, I used to be part of Rotary, and I left because of what I found out because of him and everything.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, fucking Bill Gates
And
has
Lemp
been
didn't hang himself.
nothing.
Yeah,
Bill
just
Gates
make
has
sure.
been nothing but an abject depopulist for the last 40 years, and nobody talks about it. I mean, even when Microsoft Windows 95, which was what made him all the money he's got now,
Which
came
he
out,
stole.
Which he stole. Absolutely. He stole it. It was originally part of the original Macintosh or Apple operating system, but he stole it from Steve Jobs, who was his business partner as he started at Microsoft. Even though all of that happened, he has been nothing but an avowed depopulist. Because back then, what was it? The world population was what, 7 or some odd billion?
Less than that. It was like 5
Less than
billion
that.
at that point.
Yeah.
5 billion, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's been an abject depopulist since the population was 3 billion less than it is now. And all of a sudden he's like,
so
you know what? I'm a big proponent of Rotary International, but I want to depopulate the fucking planet.
Yeah, that whole overpopulation argument is so easily just ruined. Like if you take the United States alone, has about the continental United States has about
The
2
lower 48.
billion acres. The lower 48 has about 2 billion acres worth of land. There's 8 billion people in the world, right? That's a quarter acre per person just in the United States.
Yep.
Just in the United States.
Actually,
Not only that, everybody gets a 10 by 10
Mhm.
area if you were to just completely urbanize the state of Texas.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
and don't forget who's buying up the most farmland in the country right now.
Yeah, he's the biggest
Oh,
agricultural
Well,
investor
but
worldwide.
No,
don't forget that the largest landowner on planet Earth, the organization that owns more land than anyone else
China.
on the entire planet. Oh, no. There is only one entity. There is one country that owns more land across the entire planet than anyone else, and it's the world's smallest country, Vatican City.
No,
Oh, yeah,
McDonald's owns more property than them now.
Has it changed over to China now?
No, I'm saying McDonald's.
Oh, McDonald's?
McDonald's
Do they own
owns
more than
they
Vatican
own
City
more
now?
land Than the Vatican.
look
does.
around.
That actually
There's
doesn't
more
surprise
McDonald's-
me at all.
Yeah, there's more McDonald's than churches.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't surprise
No,
me at all.
but no.
McDonald's is
See,
a real
that
estate
it's not about
company.
churches. The Vatican owns huge swaths of
yeah.
land across Asia
look
and
at
Africa
all the-
and in Canada,
Yeah,
Mexico,
look at all
South
the
America.
what McDonald's is doing to Brazil. Right, they own a shit ton of land, bro. It's crazy.
Absolutely. They own like 40% of Brazil, if I'm not mistaken.
Of rural
Yeah, but
Brazil,
the Vatican, the Catholic Church owns so much land that they could actually house the entire world population on the land that they own.
which
You
it
could
doesn't
put-
really
no, no,
matter
dude,
because
you
we're gonna
could
die from
put the
fucking
entire
zombies.
world population in the state of Texas, and everybody gets a
Right, but what I'm saying is, like,
reasonably sizable-
consider how much land that is. Why the fuck does a church own that much land? And most of it they own through a set of shell companies that they have controlling interest in, places like
Probably
Beretta.
because they're too busy,
Because the
defiling
church is
small
a private
boys.
country that is only created to divide and control people.
Right.
Because the Pope is the head of a massive international organization that has been incredibly entrenched in politics globally for 1,000 years.
Oh, I thought you were
No
going to say
shit.
he's the head of an organization that's been raping young boys for thousands of years. I'm sorry.
Oh, they've also
Well,
been
that-
doing that,
That's
but also that. But no, the Catholic Church. I mean,
Epstein Island. The Catholic Church makes Epstein Island look like a day at the beach.
but they've been entrenched. I mean, you go back to the Middle Ages, they've been entrenched in politics in a major way for a very long time, and you can really pinpoint about an exact moment where that starts to happen when the Holy Roman Empire gets founded, right?
Oh, yeah.
What we would call mostly Germany now.
Yeah,
When the Holy Roman Empire gets founded, initially it's this weird balance, right, throughout the Middle Ages, because it's like the Pope goes, oh, well, the Pope is going to decide who should be king, and then the king's like, oh, but then I also get to support the church, I support the church, which is why the church wins, and it's this weird incestuous thing that happens across Europe, and it really isn't until Maximilian that you start to see that change in the Holy Roman Empire.
When you're talking about the Roman Catholic Church and royalty, you're talking about incest. I feel like this is redundant.
Well, I mean, it all started with Constantine in that era where they put the Bible together, and that was
Well, I mean,
not that city.
it's not even just like Constantine, because like the councils of Nicaea didn't quite truly put the Bible together. What they did is just they decided what books were generally accepted by the majority of people as being canonical and what books. Anyway, I could do literally a 15-hour speech about the councils of Nicaea. But what I was getting at though is like
Andrew has a history degree. He can go on all.
I can go so far into the councils
Yeah,
of Nicaea
if
and why so many
Andrew
people
were to
are
go
wrong about
off-
them.
I was gonna say, if Andrew were to go off, the rest of us would be sitting here twiddling our thumbs for the next 3.5 hours.
But
Minimum.
where things really start to change is Charlemagne, right? Once Charlemagne takes over, and everyone kind of regards him as a hero, but Charlemagne is so heavily in bed with the church that there is just it's all one thing. And he, founds the Holy Roman Empire. He sets all that stuff up, and the Pope starts getting super involved in politics, even though they're simultaneously going, well, the church is above politics, you see. But you're obviously not, because you're picking and choosing winners and losers, which is what leads to not only the Protestant Reformation, again, ironically in Germany, but also, or what would become modern Germany, because Germany didn't exist yet. But you also, that's when you get to like the dissolution in England with Henry VIII and him getting kind of pissed about the whole no divorce thing. And, he became a little upset about that and may have overreacted ever so slightly.
Hold on. Did you go Charlemagne? You mean Count Dooku?
Yeah, Charlemagne was so much darker than people realize. Oh my God.
Oh, man. That's fantastic.
100%.
Yeah, like it gets freaking dark when you look into that, but it's this weird entanglement, and ever since like during the Middle Ages, the church has granted huge tracts of land across Europe, and it just keeps getting granted tracts and keeps getting granted tracts. In fact, one of the largest landowners in Russia is the church. And Russia is an Orthodox country, yet one of the largest landowners in Russia is the Catholic Church. How much sense does that make?
Yeah.
So the question is, why?
Who's running who?
So if you start to take a closer look at, let's talk about the Vatican for a second here. They actually own a lot of things. Within Italy, they own 4,051 properties, and abroad they own about 1,120, and that's not counting their embassies, which looks like it's about 28 foreign representations to the Vatican City. But they've also have been very private until recently. I think back in 2021, they were even brought to trial over a building they had bought in London in the South Kensington district in 2014. 10 people were brought to trial in connection to that purchase, including a prominent cardinal, all tied to the Vatican, and they were charged with financial crimes like embezzlement, money laundering, fraud, extortion, and abuse of office. So all the things that you guys are talking about right now, right? All the things you guys are talking about right now, it's not really a surprise.
Right, and the funny thing is, with that being in London, is that anybody was brought to trial, because if there's one place you can launder the hell out of money and do it with real estate, it's London. Oh my God, it is the money laundering capital of planet Earth. It is insane the way that money gets laundered in London. And London has been super permissive about it up until very recently. That's actually why so many Russian oligarchs have homes still right now in London, because that is where you buy your giant properties and you use that giant property to launder your money.
So are the taxes go to the royals, right, in London. So unless one of you correct me, I think the royal money is still not subject to inflation, right? So I guess it would be the perfect place to launder money, because nothing's ever going to influence it from the outside.
Still, economically speaking, it's still subject to inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Just a matter of whether or not the state, in this case London, is willing to pull back the amount of money that's been given to the royals. Because as inflation goes, I mean, when you're talking about a 10% increase in the costs of X, Y, and Z, it's whether or not the people of London, the UK in general, are willing to match that as it gets filtered through the royal family.
And as each new generation of royals inherits this money, they don't have to pay that inheritance tax either. So
yeah, that was a big thing with Charles and all that. Once the Queen died, there was a lot of outrage about them not having to pay the inheritance tax.
Oh yeah, and the funniest part about that is I'm simultaneously, and anybody who watches the show knows what my heritage is. But on my mom's side, the current King of England is my 9th cousin.
So wait, you don't have sausage fingers too, do you?
No, I don't have sausage fingers.
Okay, good.
No.
He has very dainty
hand.
Irish
Can we refer
fingers.
to Charles as sausage fingers from now on, like
through the Clearys, the Goffs, and Goff is also like Van Gogh. That royal family, through them, through the Clearys and a couple others, I have direct connections back, Woodwards as well, direct connections back to the royal family that is completely traceable. Real fun thing. Also, speaking of the Titanic, one of my 8th cousins was the guy playing the cello as the Titanic sank. That was he was a Woodward.
Nice, yeah. The only thing I have for my family is one of my cousins streaked at a soccer game once.
My family's connected to Abraham Lincoln.
Nice.
Yeah, they shot him.
Yeah, they are.
His name is Booth, and John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
They're based as fuck on his side.
Hey, don't forget though, John Wilkes' brother was one of the most famous actors in the world, and is in fact still generally regarded as possibly the greatest actor of all time. Yeah. So, and actually saved Lincoln's life a week prior to his brother shooting him to death. So that's a fun fact for you.
Yeah, I've seen those movies.
Yeah. So Lincoln's on a train platform and almost falls down and gets hit by a train, and he gets pulled back, and he turns and he looks, and the guy who grabbed him and saved him from falling is the most famous actor in Robert. Was that his name? I think it was Robert. The most famous actor in the world, Mr. Booth. And he thanks him, whatever else, and is like, "Oh, hey, I recognize you," and everything. And then a little bit later, his brother shoots him in the back of the head in Ford's Theater. And other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how
Anybody
was
who
the
says
play?
Anybody who says a 22 caliber is not lethal.
32 caliber.
Oh, is it 32? I thought it was
32.
22.
32 ACP, Lord's caliber.
Either way, I mean, 32 ACP.
no.
I mean, at point blank in
Hitler.
the back of the head, it's very effective. But that's the only place where it's effective.
Yep.
No,
So-
the only claim
Six
to
Semper
fame
Tyrannis.
my family has is my grandfather was an engineer at Wright Pat.
hashtag be the change.
That's right.
And after that weather balloon fell in Roswell, that was transported to Oklahoma, and then it was transported to Wright Pat Air Force Base, right in Dayton. And my grandfather was one of the people on that team that investigated that weather balloon for 5 years.
I really appreciate that
my
whole
family-
thing turning into a conspiracy theory, and the fact that the government just let it turn into it was aliens thing,
No,
so
hold
that the
on. No,
Soviets couldn't figure out that we were monitoring their nuclear tests using weather balloons, because that's what it was.
My
the
family's
feds-
claim to fame is the fact that my ancestor Josiah Bartlett signed the Declaration of Independence, but then all of a sudden everything just kind of fell off the fucking rails immediately following that.
Yep.
Well, that's generally how it goes.
It pretty much.
The feds just raided the house of the guy that runs one of those Area 51 conspiracy websites.
I saw that. I was like, Jesus fuck, really?
I mean, what better way to end a conspiracy than to arrest the guy running the website?
It's so obviously fake that we're going to deploy a large amount of federal agents to tell you to shut up about it.
Misinformation
Because
task force
propaganda
one.
is not real.
But I mean, are they rating him so that people keep believing it, and then therefore they can distract from the real purpose? Or are they rating him because he's actually right? But you don't know which one is
Therein
it.
lies the problem. That's the
Actually,
problem.
I kind of do know because I've been to Groom Lake.
You too?
Yeah, I've been to Groom Lake, and the aircraft that I saw being tested when I was there is an aircraft that was just announced, the successor to the B-2.
The B-21 Raider.
Yep, and that was actually in the early stages of testing when I was there.
Agreed. It's a fantastic aircraft. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic aircraft. But it's kind of funny how people have turned it into a gigantic, it's my alien.
Yeah, it's a UFO. No, it's just a really cool flying wing.
Right?
For you guys that are following along out there, the guy's name is Jorg Arnu, and he founded the website dedicated to publishing information on Area 51. So he was rated by the Air Force and the FBI on 2 of his properties.
Because
For,
nothing says you're definitely not telling the truth here, like rating you with the Air
Right.
Force and the FBI.
And it sounds really bad, but I hate to correct Rob here, but it's Jörg.
Oh, Jörg. Okay. I knew I was butchering that.
I speak semi-fluent German, so Joerge. That's Jörg.
Okay.
And I hate to be that asshole as far as grammar. is
Oh, you're
concerned.
good, man. I should say the man's
You're
name right.
still an asshole. You're still an asshole.
I'm
That's fine.
still an asshole. I don't deny that fact. My wife will tell you that I am in fact an asshole. But
yeah,
you know,
what better way to kill a conspiracy than to raid and arrest the owner of the website?
Fear.
Well,
Controls
you
your
know,
fear.
I think new planes being built and tested for a decade or two, and also hiding conspiracies on alien technology and
you know what I
contact
found
can both
really
be true at the
interesting.
same time.
At the risk of getting us, kicked off of YouTube, the fact that there were multiple Predator drones cycling around Kenosha at the point in which Kyle Rittenhouse did his thing,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of lends itself to the conspiracy theory of the fact that the government does not give a fuck about what you're doing, whether or not it's legal or not. they did a thing where they're like, hey, we're going to have drones on station that can kill you. But you don't know about it until this guy goes to trial for protecting himself.
Yeah, they
I'm
had that
not
all over Minneapolis. They had them all over L.A. Like in L.A., the
Kenosha,
sheriff's
LA.
department, or the sheriff's department in Southern California, they tried to call in an F-15 flyover
They did.
during that. They tried to call in an F-15, and they went through back channels, and not through the chain of
Yep.
command. They went through
And,
back
and the
channels
pilots
because
are like, fuck this shit. No.
yeah, and the pilots were like, "Fuck you, no, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you should just assume that you're being spied on at any given angle or way at
Considering
all
the
times,
fact
and that you have a gun or a bomb pointed at you at 24/7.
Considering the fact that I have witnessed on probably close to 24 opportunities an SUV parked 20 yards above my house on the hilltop, surveilling my property. I mean, I'm not saying that the
Just go
government
knock on the window.
You know, there was one night where I delivered them a
Is this-
thermos full of coffee. I'm not saying that this particular thermos full of coffee may have contained a capricious amount of Miralax, but I am saying that about 2 hours or so after I gave them a thermos full of coffee, they screamed out of here like they were screaming red lights and siren.
You should have brought them some alphabet soup.
That would have been epic.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But I was being generous. I was like, I know why you guys are here. Here's a thermos full of coffee. Enjoy your stay. I'm going to bed. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden, about 45 minutes later, the Chevy Tahoe that was parked above my house vanished, screaming out of here, red lights and siren. I'm not saying that I gave them Miralax as part of the coffee, but I am saying that all of a sudden coffee did its thing, and they hauled ass 12 miles up the road to the nearest 24.
Monkey says, "Just show him your chode, man." They'll
I
get
mean,
intimidated
every-
and leave.
That's a hardcore dominance move right there. That
All I'm saying is they hauled ass to the neighboring town where there's a 24-hour bathroom. All I'm saying is that's what they did.
I love it.
I don't know
All right,
what
quick,
happened.
You got all right. I got another quote for you. This is an unintentional win-win. An unintentional win-win. This is from
It's
Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat out of Connecticut. He's talking about the shooting in Colorado Springs, right?
oh Lord.
And he's talking about Second Amendment sanctuary zones. And he says, quote, "I think we have to have a conversation about whether we can continue to fund law enforcement in states where they're refusing to implement these gun control laws."
no, don't throw me into the briar patch.
I'm not saying anything. But all I'm saying is,
Just
Yeah,
if
we
somebody could just point to one gun control law, please, just one, even half of one that's ever, worked on doing anything that they said it was going to.
I mean,
I'll give you
I'm,
time.
I got one.
I'll give you
I got
time.
I'm pointing,
Proven.
but I can't find a gun control option that actually fucking worked.
Gun control.
I can
Right here.
show you some gun control that
God.
definitely worked. It's from this chapter in the book. I don't know if you can read
Is
that.
that the book?
No,
Is that the
can't read-
small
that's-
unit Texas Booker?
So no. This is for the defense of themselves and the state. The original intent, judicial interpretation of the right to keep and bear arms by Clayton E. Kramer. It is a fantastic book. If you can find it.
I was looking for a laugh, and now we're getting educated.
However, chapter 6 is entitled
Welcome to a
"No
podcast
Negro
being anarchist.
shall be allowed to carry firearms."
Yeah.
And
Gosh,
then, in
it's
fact,
almost like you say that gun control is based in abject racism.
Racial discrimination, and control and population.
Good
Yeah,
old,
there's-
good old
No, I
Ronnie
mean-
Reagan. Good old Ronnie Reagan. He
Oh, it
banned
goes
open
Oh, yeah.
further back than that. It goes further back. It goes before George
yeah,
Washington.
Oh, it goes way
for
back.
that.
I mean, it goes
yeah.
back
We're
to
really gonna dive into this topic. Like, let's really
man.
dive into it.
So
Start when
let's jump
racial
on- let-
divide and social divide started back
Yep.
when we first had slaves in this country, and we had white Europeans coming over,
oh,
thinking they
it
were going
predates
to a
that.
free country.
Oh, it
And
predates
they
that.
didn't realize
far and
they were
away.
signing themselves up for 5 to 7 years of servitude to pay off their debt to come across to this country, right? And back then, we had white and black slaves, and they saw themselves as the same. And then there was a revolt at one point, and I think it was about 70% black, 40% white, something 60-40, 30-40, right around there. And the people that were in power saw a really big issue with that, obviously, because they almost took over an entire town very, very quickly. And they decided, hey, you know what we should do? We should make these poor white slaves feel like they're just a little bit better than these black slaves. Yep, exactly. And I know I shared a video prior to coming in here that kind of laid this down pretty good, but that was the beginning of not only political but racial divide in this entire country.
Well, it predates that because you got to go back. If you rewind back to, so in general, most of the countries in Europe tended to view the issue of owning weapons as an issue of free men, right? Free men should own weapons. They should have those weapons. They have a right to those weapons. That was the thing that really was a big thing in Europe. And then Rome kind of changed it a little bit. But like the German barbarians who took over after Rome withdraws, in about 400-ish, 80, the German tribes, they view the right to carry arms as very much integral to the idea of you being a free man. Mm-hmm. Things start to change a little bit after that. And like, Italy's a big one where, actually kind of the guy who inspired, Machiavelli to write The Prince, which is satirical. If anyone doesn't know, it's not intended to actually be an instruction manual to be a tyrant. It's actually criticizing the current head of Venice. I think Venice. But they start enacting laws in a lot of the Italian city-states saying that you can only carry arms for like militia purposes in like the 1400s ish that starts to happen. But generally everyone else is still pretty convinced that if you're a free man, you should have arms. Where things start to change further is like in England, they realize that there's an awful lot of these peasants running around who are pretty well armed. I mean, you have the Peasants' Revolt that results in Magna Carta, things like that. And so they go, well, yeah. So what winds up happening is that in Europe, for the most part, the idea of restricting the right to keep and bear arms is really based in classism. It's based in this idea that you don't want all these peasants running around that can arm themselves against the nobles. Only nobles can. And so what they do in order to enact that is they just enact huge taxes on being able to carry arms. Or they say, well, you can only carry arms with the king's leave is a big one. That you start seeing across that, so that they can control the peasantry that much better. And that's a very big thing that you see. Now, they leave that out of the United States initially because, well, things like native raids and wild animals and stuff are kind of a big deal there, and they kind of need weapons. So they let the Americas have their guns, but they, and their swords and everything, but they tend to not let anybody else have them. And in the United States, what's weird is that it's incredibly racially based, right? The very first gun control law ever passed in what would become the United States is passed in the early 1600s, and it says that if you provide arms or ammunition to any native or any black slave, you will be punished with death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the very first law that we see happen, and it just keeps carrying forward like that. And I mean, the modern right to keep and bear arms, the way we look at it, really has its genesis after slavery ends in the 1860s, where you have the black codes in the South that are still trying to keep control of these newly freed blacks, and they don't want to risk them getting too much power. And you see that carry right on through to, for 100 years into the 1960s and 1970s, where Southern Democrats do not want people that are not white landowners to be able to arm themselves. And once that stops being a thing because of the civil rights movement, and suddenly that becomes inconvenient to base it around race, now they make it we're going to have enough taxes that only the rich white landowners can afford it. And now suddenly they go back to what the British did and what the royalty did in Europe, where they make it controlled and only isolated to the people that they want to have those gun rights by making it so expensive that the less desirables can't afford it.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar. Fuck California. So, and there's an interesting piece that you skipped over there too, is that they gave back gun rights to a certain extent during the Revolutionary War to black people, where they could earn their freedom and things like that, right? If they fought, and they're like, hey, we'll give you guns, we'll do this, you fight, you do this for this long, you earn your freedom, and then you can have all your rights back. But there was a weird time in between that and about it was like the late 1600s when they completely, between all the colonies at that point, really put their foot down. Where the poor blacks or the blacks were less than the poor whites at that point. Right. And it's very, very parallel what we're seeing today on not only the drug war but the gun war and all that kind of stuff. Look at the West Coast. Look at how it's bleeding over to look at both coasts, really, Northeast and West Coast. All the fucking coasts. Everybody in the middle, we're pretty fucking based.
Dude, and, my single most popular, to respond to Jack, my single most popular video that I've ever had anywhere ever is that one on TikTok, which is a history lesson. So you know what? Fuck you.
I fucking love it. I fucking love these history lessons.
Andrew has a problem with landing the plane, but at the same time, he's accurate.
He's right. He's right, though.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah. And speaking of history, that's one of the common arguments today that comes out, speaking for gun control and passing more laws for gun control. They'll say that because of, what we just talked about, how they tried to make the white slaves feel better than the black slaves, for example, or to make sure that the black slaves were kept and the natives were kept in the lower class because they couldn't defend themselves. There were also anti-slavery abolitionists and anti-slavery capitalists who, they used the tools that they had to fight against slavery. Like this anti-slavery preacher, for example, had bought guns for the abolitionists, and he became famous for it. His name was Henry Ward Beecher.
Yes. Well, and one of the things that people continually forget about in modern American politics is the simple fact that a large portion of the slaves in the South were not black. They were, in fact, Irish American slaves, and any child born to those Irish American slaves was still a slave, even if the sire of that slave was not a slave. They forget that. But
how can that be true? Because I was never taught that in elementary school.
Because they don't want you to know that the first variation of slaves in the U.S. were, in fact, fucking white and Irish.
Yep, 100%.
Andrew has a strong Irish heritage. Me? In fact, that motherfucker was raised in Ireland. Me, I have a strong Irish heritage. I also have a strong Norwegian heritage. And a lot of our ancestors were, in fact, fucking slaves in the U.S. because of the fact that we're undesirable in the terms of the crown.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, in the Irish, so
fuck
between
you.
like 1652 and 1659, which is only 7 year span, and it's only one of the periods of Irish enslavement, about 50,000 Irish men and women were sold directly into slavery in either Barbados or Virginia.
Which
and
is why the Jamaican accent exists, because they were
Correct.
taught English by Irishmen.
Yes, so
Yes.
the Irish, we have a very strong, very proud tradition of not giving a shit what your background is, not caring like what your race
Unless-
is or anything else, unless you're British.
Unless you're British.
Unless you're British.
Yeah.
If you're British, fuck you.
Yeah,
It's
then-
also where the red hair and the green eyes in certain Jamaicans comes from as well.
yes.
Yes.
Rihanna actually has talked about, you know, and she's Barbadian. She's actually talked in a couple of interviews about how her great grandparents, something like that, are one of them's a white Irishman and then a black African. And that she's got even more Irish down the line. Like she's like almost half Irish. We diligently plotted to take over the world, but no one noticed because we leave everyone the hell alone. But the Irish were definitely slaves. Like you hear all the time in American high schools, and I've learned this unfortunately firsthand from moving back to the U.S. At the very beginning of high school.
The whole like the term indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude.
It's contractual slavery.
Well,
Yeah,
and it
and
wasn't even
really,
contractual.
all it
See, here's the thing though. Indentured servants definitely existed. That was definitely a thing. That did in fact happen. We're not even talking about them. This is the thing. The indentured servants were one thing. We are talking about actual slaves, outright sold into slavery. In fact,
Brett, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Bearkin? No, bacon is not. That doesn't sound. If I say
No,
Bearkin,
it does.
that doesn't sound like
It
bacon.
does.
They don't sound the same at all.
It's fantastic.
They don't sound the same at all. What the hell are you talking about?
He said in a Jamaican accent.
You're Irish. The rest of us are like, fuck that. That's fucking hysterical.
It's not fucking. Everyone wants to make fun of the Irish fucking accent, right up until, you know, everyone realizes that the ladies find the Irish accent incredibly entertaining.
Until they find out that they have
I'm
to start
dead
their
as
own gardens.
fuck. I'm sorry. Oh, that's fantastic. Brett, that's fucking awesome.
So, for instance, it mentions there's an article, there's a paper that mentions that a Mr. Selleck and Mr. Yeomans, who are Bristol merchants, have sold 250 women above the age of 12 years found in the country within a 20-mile radius of Cork, Youghal, Kinsale, Waterford, and Wexford, and then transported them to Barbados and New England.
Almost like they wouldn't have been transported and sold into, you know.
The actual story of Spirited Away, anyone who's familiar with maybe the Studio Ghibli version of it, which is based on the actual book Spirited Away, which is literally about an Irish girl being sold into slavery. It also mentions there's a quote here.
Gosh,
It
I
says,
feel like we've talked about this before.
blah blah blah.
We'll probably talk
8 of
about
the
it
servants
again.
had died on the journey. This guy West, he wrote to Anthony Craddock, the owner, that he had sold quote 10 to the governor of Barbados for 450 pounds of sugar apiece, and all the rest for 500 pounds apiece. And he's talking about Irishmen.
500 pounds of sugar for a slave?
500
Wait.
pounds of sugar for
500
all the
pounds
rest
in
of them.
general?
450
500 pounds for a.
It's
a
40,
boatload of
45,
Irish
no,
slaves?
45 pounds of sugar per slave was the first group. 10 of them went for
fuck.
450 pounds of sugar
They were some valuable motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
because they were white.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
they were Irish. And again,
Because
that
they
means
were
that
able to
white
make
fucking
more
slavery
slaves.
existed.
Well,
So
not only that, but I mean, they were able to make more slaves by impregnating the female Irish slaves.
By the way, this is Sean O'Callaghan's To Hell or Barbados. If you haven't read this book, it is incredibly good. This one
Yes.
and White Cargo are very, very good. There's also a really good book called How the Irish Became White out there, because Irishmen were not considered white by people for a very
Never
long
mind
time.
the fact that their fucking pasty is all beat hell.
Yeah, they're
Right,
actually
but because
wired
we were
right.
because we weren't generally Protestant, and we
Oh, because you're
tended
a
to
Catholic.
not speak English, we weren't considered white.
I mean, again, we're going back to the. I'm not saying there's a solution,
God.
but I mean, there's a fucking solution.
Chris is really trying to get us droned very hard.
Yes.
Chris
It's
is
not enough that he already went deer hunting. He really wants to.
No, he just
make some
that's it's like the
alphabet
6th or 7th time he's made that innuendo and
I don't know
cock-
what you're talking about.
and cock the rifle. And tomorrow he's going to be messaging us. Oh, the black van is back outside. No
Oh,
shit.
shit.
No way.
Dude, the fucking black van has
don't
been out there
say.
since the beginning of this episode. It's okay.
Oh God,
Dude, the funny thing is that same
I've been
SUV.
watching them. No. I've been watching them since the beginning of this show. I
Thanks
kid
for
you not.
listening in,
I
boys.
have been watching them from my fucking security system
Well, I hope they
since
learn
the
something
beginning
then.
of this show. And you know what? I'm glad I have a body armor now because you know what? Worst case scenario,
You didn't buy AR-500, did you?
it's been a fantastic experience knowing the rest of you. Fuck it all.
You know,
I don't know.
the funny thing is though with that SUV is it does sit outside of my house well, it did for a long time. It sat outside of my house. And I'd like look outside and see it sitting there and it's like flat black with like the blacked out window tint and everything, and all of the emblems are blacked out. There's no chrome, the rims are black, flat black, everything else. And I'm like, that is literally the most conspicuous fucking vehicle I have. Like, there is no way that's not a Fed. Like,
Dude, they.
All right, hold on.
I own. No. You hold on a second. I own
I'm
an
hiding.
entire city
Is it
block.
working?
Okay, I own an entire city block. There's nobody else that lives on my block. And these dumb sons of bitches park on the public property on the other end of my property line.
Mhm.
And I watch them through telescopic means on a repetitive basis.
telescopic means.
And I see
He's
them up
really
there.
trying. Like, he really hates his dogs a great
And
deal.
I see them up there all the time. And I kid you not, I have, since the beginning of this episode, I have watched them on my outdoor cameras, and I've seen them parking up there, and I see them up there, and there's a Chevy Yukon currently parked, or a GMC Yukon, whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah.
parked 20 yards above my house on a hilltop, and they're just sitting there.
Hey,
And
what
this
are
is
your,
nothing fucking new.
what are
Now-
your dogs' names?
My dog's names are Lily and Pepper.
Oh, I thought it would have been Tanner and Wright.
No, that is the
Surprise, motherfuckers!
Tanner, right.
that is the as Andrew would put it, that is the Tanner Rin Tin Tin
Yeah, I called it the Tannerin Tintin.
that sits out on my deck.
Love it.
Yeah.
There
All
is
right, let
a
me,
Tanner
hold
Rin
on.
Tin Tin with a perfectly tanned hide that's actually a deer hide.
I
can
call
sit out
him
there.
Cloud. Why do you call him Cloud? Well, because that's what you're going to be if you shoot him.
Right?
Into the myth.
I call him Pink Mist. Why do you call him Pink Mist? Don't ask.
All right, let me give me 3 paragraphs on this article real quick, and then we'll start to finish up.
But I'm almost out of whiskey.
Yeah, we can
Couldn't tell.
Okay, the study by DRGO, that is Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, Member Mark Hamill, MD, FACS, FCCM, is titled, quote, Legal Firearms Sales at State Level and Rates of Violent Crime, Property Crime, and Homicides, is published through the Journal of Surgical Research. Dr. Hamill worked with a team of 9 of the doctors to reach their conclusion. Dr. Robert Young, executive director of the DRGO, says, quote, this confirms what those of us already know who follow the research by medical criminology and economic experts, that lawful gun ownership in no way related to homicide or other crime rates, and the constant drumbeat of anti-gun research and activists is a house built on sand.
You don't fucking say.
So,
I
the
feel
research based on the
personally attacked
detailed,
by this
objective,
particular message.
50-state analysis from data from the background check system, Department of Justice Uniform Crime Reporting, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention web-based injury statistics query and reporting system over the years from 1999 to 2015. It says that the study shows that there's, quote, no association between increased lawful firearm sales and rates of crime or homicide.
No shit.
Oh, it's fucking astonishing,
shit.
huh?
You mean
Can't believe
people
it.
owning? You mean people
Surprise,
owning
surprise,
so-called weapons
surprise!
of war have done absolutely fucking nothing in terms of
Chris,
national
you
security.
were in the military. You know that your firearm is way better than the weapons of war.
No shit. I mean, I get offended when I hear people say weapons of war because my weapons are so much better.
Are you kidding me? There's a reason why officers for years and years and years had to purchase their own weaponry
No shit.
when they went to war. It's because they were going to get something that just was better.
No. Hold on, Andrew. Hold on. My son. My
Minneapolis
son is
officers in
15
Minneapolis
you
were
shut up.
issued P320s.
My son is
They were
15
issued
years old.
P320s and had to get
This
the gun.
is his
Oops.
rifle. This is his rifle. This
This
is
is
my
his gun.
son.
There are many
who's
like it.
15 years
Is that what
old.
it is?
This is his rifle.
Like,
And this, aside from the, the
one is
FE
his?
grip, this rifle is far and away better than anything Uncle Sam
you're
gave
getting
me.
Drone so hard, bro.
You know what? Fuck it. If I'm gonna get,
I have
drowned,
rocket propelled
at least-
grenades. I have
Right?
it's like
At least everybody knows. At least everybody knows that I'm the motherfucker who's gonna get droned, and everybody knows who to focus their attention on. Bottom line is, my son is 15. He'll be 16 in February. This is his rifle. This thing is far and away better than anything Uncle Sam gave me when I was in the Air Force. It's probably better than anything Uncle Sam gave Andrew when he was an 18 Bravo.
dude, we got black credit cards. It's we didn't get given anything. We got to just go buy it.
Right. But either way,
All right,
this shit.
okay. We only got a few minutes.
This-
We only got a few minutes
No,
left.
no. Shut up. This thing, this thing right here is far and away better than.
You said it like 3 times, dude.
Okay, so we only got a few minutes left. Let's Rob and Alan, let's throw out some plugs. Pitch your podcast. Last few minutes are yours. I muted Christopher.
All
Go
right.
for it, Rob.
Hello?
So, I just want to thank everybody here for having us on today. Pulling up my plugs right now. We are on Twitter.
I pause.
We are on Twitter. We upload everything to anchor.fm at the Anti-Politics Podcast on Twitter. Our tag is at Anti-Politics-Pod. Politics with an S. Anti-Politics-Pod. So we got 2 episodes up right now. Real excited about it. Got some real good names coming on. Going to be talking about a lot of stuff that really pushes the bounds of the status quo. So I really hope everybody out there checks in and checks out at least a couple of our episodes.
Yeah,
Dude,
what
I've watched your
what he
guys'
said.
shows. Yeah, absolutely. I've watched your guys' stuff. It's fantastic.
Thanks, man. I
Thanks,
really
brother.
appreciate that. Appleseed, shout out to you, man. I saw you in the chat earlier. He was our guest on the second episode, and he's also a frog man. So that was a fun episode, man. That was a really fun episode. Talking to him about everything. Join or die, baby.
That's right. Brothers,
come
in
on!
arms
Don't
or not
don't
at
call
all?
us frog. That's seals. Don't do that.
Fuck the frog.
That's seals.
Fuck the frog.
That's seals.
Andrew,
Don't do that.
I am with you. Fuck
got-
the frogs.
He's got bad vibes from the seals.
Yeah. He
I'm not
was.
saying my son's rifle, who's
Come
really
on.
Oh,
fixing it.
God.
I'm not saying this is better than the SEALs have, but I am saying
It's
that
it's not. It's not. Stop.
Oh, no, it absolutely
Just stop.
is.
What? It's not.
It absolutely is. I built it myself. Trust me, it is better than anything the SEALs have.
Gunsmith.
Dude, it's the funny thing about that is if you actually look at a lot of the things that we actually use in combat, it's like fucking
We're-
duct taped and just
we're
like
we're
shit.
trying to
zip
wrap
tied.
this up. We're trying to wrap
Fucking
this
no
up. Come on,
Okay.
guys.
Andrew.
I was
Hold
just
it
mentioning.
together.
I was just mentioning. Okay,
No.
go.
Everything that the government gives you is duct taped. Fucking
Okay, so go ahead again, Alan. Sorry.
All right, yeah. So my last thing I want to say is that gang means Ohana. Ohana means family. Family means nobody left behind. We're here for everybody. We want to see you live free. We want to help you help your community live free. And that's basically our entire standpoint on what we're doing, man. We're all in this together. Like, let's fucking go, baby. Not just the tip, whole fucking freedom shaft.
The whole fucking shaft. The whole shaft is coming in to bust that nut.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, take us out, man.
All right, so if you want to care for your beard like a Viking like I do, check out thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15. You get 15% off of your entire order. They have all sorts of cool stuff. They got a beard straightener. It's made with carbon fiber. It's super awesome. They got all sorts of cool scents, cool stuff. I highly recommend their gold scent, even though they have their new platinums. Gold scent, Odin's Virtue. Fantastic. It smells like oud wood, apples, and cinnamon. It is fantastic for a beard wash and conditioner. You can also get stuff for the ladies on there if you are so inclined, because they also have a bunch of stuff for that. Also, we are an affiliate of RK Spookware. If you know who they are, you probably know what they do. And if you too want to 3D print your own shooty boys, you're going to probably need some metal stuff for them. If you use the link in the description, you can use the affiliate link. You can support us at the same time as getting yourself stuff. We are also an affiliate of Reaper Apparel brand. They are a super cool apparel brand. They are super awesome, and they have a fantastic message. Take the broken, not defeated challenge. It's a 10-day challenge. It's super awesome. Also check out all of their stuff. It is so cool. Their message is fantastic. Follow them on Instagram, because you want some positive messages every single day. You definitely want to follow those guys on Instagram. They are super cool. And the owner is, somebody that I like to call friend, and he's super awesome. Let's see, what else do we have? I know there's at least a bunch of other things that we have. Buy Derica's book. It's called Think for Yourself, Thinking Workbook for Beginners. I have it. It's super cool, super awesome. It's like $10 on Amazon. You can check that out. Check out our homie Dave at Poppins Patches. And yes, I am reading the thing that's scrolling across the bottom in case you were wondering. He has a cool sale right now that's a buy one, get one on his tactical tricorn hats. It's got 3 patch panels on it, and it is super, super cool. And you definitely want to check him out and order some of his patches. They're super high quality. He bakes each color individually, so you know how you normally get that yellow fade or that white fade? That does not happen with Dave's patches. They're super awesome. They're very, very high quality and super cool. Oh, by the way, with the Reaper brand apparel, if you use code InkedAnarchist, you only get 10% off. If you use the affiliate link, you get 15% off. Just FYI.
Which is, in our link tree, you can find it there.
Yep.
Moreover,
All of that's
if you
in
are-
our link
if
tree.
you are
Yep,
like
and Chris
me-
has coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you are like me and you work in IT or you happen to be a caffeine addict, there's a link in the description for Coffee Brand Coffee, which is an affiliate link between us and Jeremy from the Quartering. and you get a little bit of a discount, and as well as a fantastic set of coffee. Me, I'm an addict. I can't.
So, all right, Chris, you got like 35 seconds. Go.
Have at it, Chief.
You got 35 seconds.
Yeah, I got nothing. If you're,
I'll throw in Odyssey, Rumble. Check them out.
Yes.
Oh, I can I say something real quick too? We do
sure.
have some gang merch here coming soon. We're gonna have a gang merch set up here. All proceeds, all profit will go to charity, whether it's helping people out in the movement, boys that are part of the gang or whatever else it might be. But it'll all go to the good things, anarchy and above. So keep an eye out for that. We'll let you guys know when it's coming.
Drink water,
Look out
please.
for that one.
Yeah, drink some fucking water.
I need some water. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I don't
On that
drink whiskey.
note, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
See you later.
Peace.